Hi, my name is Carolyn and I'm one of the meerkat keepers here at the Houston Zoo. And joining us today is our Meerkat Mob. We have a total of 5 members of our mob. The newest members, which were born last year, February 24th, are CJ and Bugsy. I believe you've met them before on a Facebook Live previously. They are so big now, it's really hard to tell them apart from their mom and their 2 aunts. But if I can spot them, I will try to point them out. The easiest way to tell them apart is by their mask and the shape of their face. They're very subtle differences, but when you work with them long enough, you can tell who is who, usually. Right now, they are getting some enrichment. They have hay, and hidden in the hay are some mealworms. Insects are one of their favorite treats, and that's the majority of what they eat out in the wild. They can even eat venomous scorpions, believe it or not. They are immune to certain types of venoms. But they are omnivores. We feed them a variety of foods here, including insects, but they also get fruits and veggies and things like that. Sometimes they all want to try to fit in the enrichment all at one time. So CJ and Bugsy, as I said before, are the newest members of our family. They're about 1.5 years now. And some of their favorite activities, as you can see now, is getting enrichment that they can dig in and look for bugs, because bugs is probably one of their favorite things. They get mealworms, crickets, and silkworms here, and occasionally earthworms. And they really enjoy all of those things. They also really enjoy digging, and meerkat mobs can dig quite extensive burrow systems. I believe that is one of them right over here on the right. I think that might be Bugsy. He has a slightly more slender face than his sister CJ. So their mom is May, and then they have 2 aunts, Dottie and Kit. And in meerkat mobs, they do cooperatively help raise young. So there's usually an alpha pair that has the babies, and then all the rest of the mob help raise the young. They do stay down in the burrow system for about a month. So it was a month before we even saw CJ and Bugsy start coming out. That was a very exciting time. And you might hear some of their vocalizations. They do have about 12 distinct vocalizations. And they're not doing it right now.
Folks that just tuned in, what kind of enrichment they're getting this morning?
Oh, this morning they are getting mealworms hidden in their hay. And also, now that they've pretty much emptied the pots, I also had the mealworms in their plant pots there with some hay, so they have to dig and find all those mealworms. That's one of their favorite activities, is foraging for bugs. You might notice them standing up on their hind legs, and that's when they're checking things out and making sure there aren't any predators around. And we actually have one going up on our termite mounds right now doing sentry duty. They'll take turns doing that. And that's when they're looking out for predators and things like that. That's one of the ways they also help keep them themselves safe out in the wild as well. They're very attentive to what's going on, and they do have excellent eyesight. Now, I mentioned earlier about how we tell them apart from the markings on their face, those black masks that they have around their eyes and the shape of their face, but those black marks around their eyes also serve another purpose, and that helps reduce the sun glare. So it's similar to when the athletes put the black marks under their eyes. Their marks serve the same purpose. That also helps their excellent vision. Out in the wild, they do primarily eat insects, which is why they got mealworms today, because that is one of their favorite enrichment items. Bugsy and CJ especially like insects. And here we give them mealworms, crickets, and silkworms. And they like digging. So today it was a combination of those two. digging for the insects. Out in the wild, they can live in mob groups up to 30 animals. Here we have a much smaller 5 mob group. CJ and Bugsy being the newest members of our family. They're about 1.5 years old. And then we have Miss May, who is their mom, and then their aunts Kit and Dottie. If you can notice, when they're all together in a group, CJ and Bugsy are a little bit smaller than their mom and aunts. They're still growing a little bit. They don't have too much longer to go, but they will be full-size meerkats very soon. Meerkats can live up to 20 years of age. They are very attentive to everything that is going on around here. They think they see anything flying in the air or somebody they're not aware of. You will see them standing up on their hind legs to check things out. We usually have at least always one on sentry duty. Now they're going up under the enrichment to make sure that no mealworms escape them. So our meerkats are found at the Natural Encounters building at the front of the zoo. So when you enter the zoo, when you go to the left, you'll see a building there, and that's the Natural Encounters building. And the meerkats are on the right side of the entrance to the Natural Encounters building. You might be able to see some of the burrows they have been working very extensively on. I think that might be one of the young ones practicing sentry duty, but I can't tell from this distance which one it is. I'm guessing it might be CJ. CJ is definitely the more personable of the two with keepers. She more readily comes up to us than Bugsy does. He's a little more of a shy boy. They both really enjoy any enrichment that involves insects and digging. Sometimes even in their holding area, we give them buckets of sand that they love to dig in. She's like, there's a helicopter nearby, I gotta check that out. They are very fast movers, so if anything alarms them, they definitely are very quick to go down in their burrows. They have distinctive vocalizations. If there's something alarming, they definitely let us know. Right now they're making mostly friendly vocalizations, looking for their food and talking amongst themselves. They're not really angry at this point, so that's good. We like for them to get along great while they're sharing their enrichment, which is why we give them so much of it. So each one has something to do. They don't really like super rainy days. So they'll stay out when it's drizzly and very light rain, but when it starts getting to be heavy rain, they definitely prefer to be inside and dry. They come from southern Africa, so they're found in mostly arid regions, savanna, desert. So they definitely prefer being dry. Rainy days are not really their favorite. Yes, they definitely, we had a question about if they have a communication with a signal to go hide or sensing a predator. And yes, they do have an alarm call that will tell the others that they need to hide immediately. So they will immediately go to their burrows and hide, and they'll peek out and see what's going on, check things out. I think they're interested now in our camera. They are very curious animals. They're very aware of what's going on around them. Like I was mentioning earlier, there's almost always one on sentry duty, making sure everybody is staying safe while the other meerkats enjoy their enrichment or foraging. That particular place where that one is now is one of their favorite sentry spots. I think that's probably one of the highest levels out here, so that's why they prefer that one. They're definitely very active throughout the day. They're always either foraging, looking for bugs, digging new burrows. They're constantly working on their burrow system when they're out here, so that is an ongoing project for them. One of the enrichment things that we do occasionally is collapse their burrows so they have to redig them, and that will keep them busy for days. Since they do primarily eat insects, they are constantly foraging for those items, although we supplement those items in their diet because there's not a lot of insects to be found out here in their enclosure. So we give them mealworms, crickets, sometimes silkworms and other items like that, earthworms. But they are primarily omnivores, so even though insects are a big part of their diet, they'll eat just about anything. Out in the wild, they can also eat venomous scorpions because they are immune to that venom, and they're very adept at catching those scorpions. We don't feed them scorpions here, though. We have a question about what are their predators in the wild. That's a great question. It's mostly snakes, jackals, and birds of prey, being like eagles, hawks, things like that that are in Africa. That's why they are very attentive, especially with anything that's up in the sky, up in the air. They're very curious about that.
How old is the mom and the ants?
How old are they?
The older ones, yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm drawing a blank on how old Meerkat and Dottie are. I know they're at least probably 5 years old, but I'm sorry, I don't remember that particular bit of information at the moment. I should know because I see it every day, but.
What's your favorite thing about working with meerkats?
Oh, I think their curiosity. They're easy to enrich because they will play with almost anything. They're very curious animals. They're very smart. They can learn things very quickly. So they're just very interesting animals. They're very active. Always keeping busy. I love their digging skills. They make it look so easy.
Do they get pumpkins during Zubu season?
Yes, they do, and they love them. They're very cute. They are part of the mongoose family, if anybody's wondering. Even though they have the term cat in their name, they're actually part of the mongoose family. They're very social, of course. That's why they live in those large family groups. They can live up to 20 years. And they weigh on average about 1.5 to 2 pounds. And as I was saying earlier too, if anybody missed it, they in those large family groups, there's an alpha pair, and that alpha pair is the pair that breeds. And then the rest of the mob will help raise the young. So in the case here, we had one mom and 2 aunts. So those 2 aunts helped raise the babies, even while they were down in the burrow, and then they continued to help raise them after they started emerging at 4 weeks. Out in the wild, they are very territorial, so once that mob establishes their territory, they do not allow any interlopers or any invaders. And they're also active during the day, so at night they are mostly sleeping. Now we have two checking out sentry duty. Checking in with our sentry. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this morning's Facebook Live. And be sure to come see our Meerkats soon, and don't miss out on Zubu, which is presented by King and Spalding and starts on September 27th. It is a great fun time here at the Houston Zoo, so be sure to not miss that. Thank you.